Yep, and like every other match this tournament, this will be hard item pool with a standard opening. So both these runners are going to go through the Hyrule Escape sequence, get a weapon from their uncle. That'll cover the standard part, rescue Princess Zelda, and then hard item pool just means we won't get some safety items, like we will not see the fourth sword, the silver arrows. Only we'll get 14 hearts, and we'll only get like 2 shield and stuff. And we saw a green pendant on Tower of Hera, a red pendant on Desert, and a regular crystal on Eastern with that map check.
Yep, Uncle just got done telling us we'd have bad luck today, and we didn't see that hoped-for triple crystal light world that tends to point to a jet seed. We do, however, see bow on Uncle, one of the nicer weapons for this escape sequence.
Yep, the bow is very nice. You can knock out most of the guards in one hit, and it makes it easy to farm. We're also getting a Bombos medallion, which could be helpful for us later in the seed. But yeah, the bow is very nice. You can beat enemies pretty quickly. We saw a heart drop from one of those guards, so could be in the heart drop pool or the fairy pool, which means maybe we'll get bombs from the guards today. But another important part about that bow is that Eastern is a crystal, and whenever you get that bow from Uncle, you're always considering going over and beating Crystal Eastern Palace.
Yep, I always find it interesting when that Crystal Eastern is clearable so early to see when our runners decide to make their way over there or if they decide to put it off a little bit.
Yeah, it's always nice to wait till you have Dark World access and the mirror and can full clear Palace of Darkness as well, but sometimes the seeds just line up so that going to Eastern Palace is a nice play anyway, so it's very nice to be able to clear it then. But yeah, definitely we'll be interested to see when these runners decide to go there. Also, on Goomba's screen, we just saw a fairy there, so Goomba knows that he can get bombs from the guards or the snakes today. Yeah, both these runners, very skilled runners, as you can see, like very equal in terms of how far they are in this escape sequence, and this is all execution. And also that mirror is very nice, because they can just mirror as soon as they get Zelda to go back to the front of the entrance.
Yeah, fun little piece of game knowledge, considering that situation does not come up too terribly often.
Yeah, you love to see it when it happens. You can get very fast escapes if you get the mirror in the first few checks of escape. I think Sandy's only seen 1 heart from these guards so far. He doesn't even know yet if they're in the bomb drop pool.
I believe you're correct. We've only seen that fairy pop up over on the right side of the screen there.
See how many of these snakes these runners decide to farm to try to get bombs. Looks like Zelda or Goomba's going to take out as many as possible and gets the 8-pack because he knew that they were in the bomb drop pack, whereas Santee only had the 50-50 shot. So we'll have to see if Santee is able to get some bombs from the rats or not. Otherwise, Goomba will have a pretty nice advantage of being able to do this back escape on the first try.
Yep, and it doesn't look like Saiontea's interested in farming the rats. He's been bypassing quite a few that he could have easily popped off a cheap arrow or two for.
Yeah, I think he made the decision. They're probably not going to get a bomb here, but that hammer there, that could be pretty big. Not as bad as a glove, but who knows when we're going to get our first glove to come back here.
Yep, that's one of those things that anytime you get out of escape without grabbing those last 3, unless you know for a fact that the bombs were not in the pack, it tends to live rent-free in the back of your head. Nice cape and sank there today.
Yeah, so the good thing is the cape could mean Aghanim, though with the hammer already being in play, less likely than normal. saiontea going straight up to the Lost Woods and then probably gonna go to Kakariko, try to get some bombs from a tree pole up here.
Yeah, that early lumberjack check seems to have largely fallen out of favor with runners at least this level. This is the situation where you might consider it when you have no bombs, thinking maybe get an extra shot at the tree pole, extra shot at the bush crab, but not today.
Yeah, and saiontea is even short of money right now to be able to even buy bombs, so kind of a rough bomb situation for the early game.
Yeah, makes for a bit of an awkward Cack Village, and he's gonna go ahead and try that level 1 tree pole, but no help there.
Yep, so he's gonna have to maybe gamble getting a bomb in one of the first like Blindside or Cackwell, and then because you need to get money first before you can even buy honey.
And our runners, ooh, and there's the bombs. saiontea lucks out on that one.
Yeah, that bottom of Blind's HUD was very nice for saiontea, because first he gets bombs to not have to buy any for Kakariko, and second we see that glove there, which means he's going to be able to go to the back of escape as soon as he wants and be able to go and get his hammer, so won't really lose out on as much as for not getting those bombs earlier.
Yep, and with a nice 300 rupee drop, he'll even be able to go talk to the turban merchant without needing to go out of his way to farm rupees, so that's definitely handy.
And with that glove, all we need for early Dark World access here is the Moon Pearl. So it'd be nice to see the Moon Pearl in like one of these next few checks. There's the flute, which is another good thing to get here, because you can just activate it right away. But if you get the Moon Pearl, then maybe you dip to Village Outcast quickly, too. So this seat's been pretty nice in terms of mobility items. Really all we're missing is our boots, having both the mirror and the flute, and we're also really close to having Dark World access as well. Getting some simultaneous flute activation over here on these two runners.
Yep, it's always fun seeing that early flute, just because it opens up routing so much and allows for a little extra creativity when you can just zip-zap across the map.
Yeah, don't have to worry about as many save and quits. You can just kind of go from location to location, and you don't have to follow your standard order, because things like getting to Ice Rod Cave or to the dam, you can just go there instantly. So, Ben, would you go right to the normal South Shore, or with this item loadout, would you try to maybe deviate from like the normal early game plays here?
So, in my case, I'm a scrub, so I'm wanting to find a lantern, or at the very least a fire rod, before heading to Eastern. And I doubt that's much of a concern for these two runners. But you've also got to figure, it's not likely that you'll be able to skip that South Shore forever, so you might as well just go ahead and knock it out now, unless you've gotten so much progression that you think you might be able to leave it behind altogether.
Yeah, the one thing that I would like about the South Shore is, if we get the Moon Pearl, we can combo in Palace of Darkness and Eastern, and there's a very good chance that Palace of Darkness is going to be a crystal today. So since we already have literally everything we need for that combo except the Moon Pearl, I would probably hold off on Eastern for now.
Yeah, that's another very good point. I'm of the opinion that it doesn't do to go too far out of your way to try to combo Pod and Eastern together, but in this case, when you've got, at the very least, South Shore right there with that good item density, you might as well just knock it out.
Yeah, there's no real guarantee the Moon Pearl could be somewhere nice, because actually if we get the we actually can go all the way up to the mountain, to the east side of Death Mountain. So they actually have a deceptively high amount of checks already available to them. So really, who knows where that Moon Pearl is going to be?
Yeah, that's a very fair point. And of course, that's another big question mark when it comes to routing. How long do you put off that mountain climb, knowing that limiting your number of mountain climbs can often be the key to shaving down your time?
Yeah, it could get a little interesting because they just need the Moon's Pearl in the midst to be able to go to Dark Death Mountain as well, but then you might risk leaving behind some Hookshot Cave items, and you're probably going to have to climb the mountain at least one other time because Turtle Rock is likely to be a crystal, and they're not going to be able to be... They're still a long way from Turtle Rock completion.
And it looks like Goomba opting to follow the check density, at least for now. Doing, the Dark Old Man check, which is one of the easier ones, but can still be a little tricky with just a whole bunch of nothing to light your way and make life a little easier for you.
Yeah, luckily this Dark Room is one of the easier ones in the game, so even without the sword, it's not too bad to do. saiontea electing to go to Ice Rod Cave because he does not yet have the hammer, so the mountain's not as appealing of a play as it is for Goomba.
Yeah, that flute might actually wind up being a little troublesome for saiontea, because normally when you're save and quitting... Oh, and there's a vanilla ice rod.
Goomba gonna go over and get that as well.
I was about to say, normally when you're doing a lot of save and quitting, there are lots of convenient times to go ahead and route in that back of escape check, but saiontea not going to put it off any longer.
Yeah, I think that when you have the flute early like this, you got to kind of think about what locations are best to save and quit out of. So Agina, for instance, is a very good location to save and quit out of. Ice Rod's not too bad either because it's a bit long to walk out of here without the boots. So saiontea deciding to take advantage of that.
And Goomba making a play that I also tend to like quite a bit when you get that early flute. Just go ahead and get Agina out of the way. It's not the quickest to walk across this desert, but it'll save you more time than last locationing some important progression there.
Absolutely, and with how he routed the mountain, this makes a lot of sense, because he went up to the mountain, but all he did was rescue the old man, which wasn't even in logic. However, since he rescued that old man, which he was going to have to do at some point anyway, now he can take the save and quit out of here and go up to the mountain with his Moon Pearl. But maybe that might change his mind where to go having that Moon Pearl now. We'll see. Yeah, I think if that was any other item except the Moon Pearl, I think he probably goes back to the mountain, but with this now he can go to the Dark World Hype Cave, get a map check, and maybe just combo pot an Eastern right away, though it would be in the dark, so that's not the funnest.
Yeah, not with 6 hearts and green mail. That Turtle Room and Pod can get a little rough even for runners of this caliber.
So we see a pendant on Mire, and then our reds are on Swamp and Ice. So with that layout, we're going to need basically all the items we could need, because Mire really only needs... we already have the flute, so that would be one thing, Mire being a pendant we could skip, and also maybe one medallion. But with the Turtle Rock requirement, we wouldn't be able to skip the Cane of Samaria requirement from Mire. saiontea giving us our first look at Pendant Tower of Hera. And we'll see how far he elects to go here. This is the green pendant. And it's not fire-locked.
Yep, and he's gonna opt to walk up those stairs and see what other secrets it might hold today. Meanwhile, Goomba making that South Dark World play. Always nice to be able to get that early mirror before doing this. Don't have to orphan that Cave 45. Just a piece of heart today, though.
There's our lamp up there on Tower of Hera, which is important for being our first fire source, though the fire-locked locations in this game, like Desert and Tower of Hera so far, and even Mire, are they're all pendants. But it will be nice to have the light for doing pod and Ether together.
Yep, and of course it's quite a ways in the future at this point, but that lamp is very nice for the Ganon fight in this hard item pool where you know you're not going to get the silvers. You want to make sure to get that torch glitch and have the option of doing it very efficiently in terms of magic.
Absolutely, it's a very nice convenience. And we're seeing saiontea gonna go and complete this dungeon, try to defeat Moldorm, and we'll see if he has our second item.
Meanwhile, Goomba gonna continue his mountain exploration a little here. Not entirely sure how I feel about this with completable crystal dungeons in the offing.
Yeah, I think he's following the check density and kind of resigning that he's probably going to have to take another trip up here just because Turtle Rock is a crystal and it's unlikely that we'll find everything we need to beat Turtle Rock below the mountain just because there's so many checks up here.
Yeah, fair enough. And looks like that second item is in the basement, and saiontea is opting to go ahead and double down on this Hera play and see what it is.
Yeah, you really don't want to come back here for it, so I definitely understand saiontea getting it. Also, the fact that we kind of just got the lamp makes it, you can kind of get start following the items. Like this is one of the fire-locked items in this game, so the lamp gives us access. We'll see how far Goomba decides to go in this dungeon.
And it looks like he is also opting to take it to its natural conclusion. And saiontea getting rewarded with a fighter sword for his troubles there in the basement.
Yeah, you'll definitely take that, especially you don't know where all the other three swords are, so if that sword is the difference between Tempered and Master Sword Ganon, it's worth the time you took to get in the basement.
Yep, of course, saiontea still not having found his Moon Pearl yet. That sword would put Aga in logic for him, so he's got that living in the back of his mind.
Yeah, very true. Luckily, having the flute, it does make the desert check a little bit more appealing than it normally would be. But the one thing, so saiontea still has all of Eastern, Saha's Hut, and the Green Pendant, so he'll probably do those right away. Whereas Goomba, he'll be able to go down there the first time, do Pod, Eastern, Saha's Hut, and Green Pendant all in one go.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and might play into Goomba opting to prioritize the mountain at this point, being able to clear out 100% all of Eastern Pod on your first trip, including the Green Pendant turn-in. It's a pretty nice feeling.
Yeah, you get to clear out both the Light World Mountain, except for Ether Tablet, and the Saha Eastern Pod area. Not seeing anything yet in Paradox Cave. Goomba also going to decide to go into that Tower of Hera basement and get his sword.
Yep, so pretty similar routing out of these runners so far, with the single exception of Goomba having gone to Agina, grabbed that Moon Pearl early, and doing just a little bit of the Light World, and ooh, that's unfortunate. Got the bad coffee break there.
Yeah, and one thing that Goomba could get on his route over here that saiontea was not able to get is Spike Cape, having the cape. Though I don't know if with this low of hearts he'll be able to do it with just the cape and single magic.
Yeah, with no hookshot or boots to make that a little quicker, it would be... I think it's technically possible, but it would be tight.
We're going to get our first look at Saha's hut and the green pendant over here on saiontea's side.
Just $50 today, so that fighter sword was the extent of the value in that Hera play. Unless we're looking at a ped seed.
Yeah, with it being this early and with how the pendants are, we don't really need that much to put pedestal logic, but that's still a long way away before we start thinking about that. I did not get to see what was on that floating island.
Yeah, I'm afraid I missed it as well.
Chat saying 300 rupees when saiontea was able to check it. We'll get our first look at Eastern Palace over here at saiontea's side, see what if there's anything in here, and then after that, saiontea's gonna be down to like Aghanim, or not Aghanim, Agena, or Zora, I think. So Goomba's routing will definitely pay off being able to combo in this whole east side pod Eastern play, but definitely not too much of not a huge advantage at this point. It really comes down to when does saiontea go over and get that Moon Pearl.
Yeah, this early in the day, we've got quite a lot of rando yet to play. Hard to call anything definitive.
Looks like Goomba's gonna head over to Palace of Darkness. Makes a lot of sense. There are just so many items over here and two full clearable crystals.
Absolutely. You've invested the time to go get that green pendant and ensure that this is entirely full clearable here. No sense putting it off. Let's see what it's bought you. And in answer to chat, neither of our runners checked Lumberjack today. Aga is in logic, but the Lumberjack item will not be until the boots reveal themselves, so...
I haven't seen anything come up here in Eastern Palace yet. We still got the big chest and the boss, though. I don't remember. I think there's at least one item here, but I don't know if there's two or not.
That sounds right, and just a piece of heart there in the big chest. I have not been counting items. I'm not sure if we've got one on the boss.
For people who are tuning in later, the Moon Pearl is on Agena today. saiontea gonna go over and get some rupees, knowing that he needs 90 rupees, which is what's in here, to afford both Pod and Zora. So nice little heads-up play here.
Yep, meanwhile, Goomba opting to go ahead and head into Pod first. Definitely the more efficient choice routing-wise. You'll see less experienced runners go ahead and use the mirror sometimes to get into Eastern first, just on the off chance of finding something to make Pod a little easier on him, but Goomba's real good at this. I think he'll be fine.
Absolutely. You get to save a little bit of mirror transition, especially because Goomba's probably going to go flute away somewhere after here, so you can just walk out of Eastern and immediately flip.
saiontea entering his Armos fight, setting himself up for the pretty traditional quick kill strat here.
Him goes a little bit off on the timing. The guy that last Armos turned red, but not too bad for a time loss. Just a few extra arrows, a few extra seconds. So nice win over there by saiontea. Just rewarded with 20 rupees though.
And it looks like saiontea is going to be giving us our first Zora check.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. Not having the Moon Pearl, we'll only be able to check Zora and Hobo here. We'll not be able to get the waterfall items.
Yep, and this is a lot of swimming, which feels pretty slow. It's a small time loss, but when you're up against an opponent like Goomba, every little bit counts.
Yep, and Goomba, having gotten big key on the pod bridge, is electing to just go right to the back of pod, defeat Helmasaur, because you got 2 keys on the right side, not worrying about doing the back until after Helmasaur, which is pretty standard routing, but definitely a nice heads-up play.
Yep, it's real easy to get into a muscle memory situation with some of this dungeon routing and clear it the same way every time, even when there are little time saves like this one to be had if you just, pay attention.
Goomba showing us that if you flip over the turtle and use the Ether Medallion, it just one-shots them, so very nice. And we'll get to see our Zora Ledge and Zora over on saiontea's side, and meanwhile Goomba is going into the Helmasaur fight, not even bothering holding out the sword, just gonna smash that mask with the hammer.
Yep, just $300 on the Zora Ledge today. So no fake flip shenanigans, no splash deletion necessary. saiontea's just gonna skip it and see what the big fish has.
Yeah, but Goomba's showing off a nice tech there where he was on his 16th hit and he knew he needed 17 to destroy that mask. And also, if you destroy the mask when there's a fireball on screen or any fireballs, they'll all despawn. So he waited a little bit for Helmasaur to spawn the fireball, and then broke the mask to despawn it. So very nice there, able to finish off the fight with the arrows and get his first crystal. And also, Zora was just a scam today.
Ooh, and it's looking bad over on saiontea's side. His last location prior to Aga is the Agena Cave. It does have the Moon Pearl, but he's decided, must be an Aga Seed. And this is going to cost him quite a lot of time here today.
Yeah, this could be really rough. I mean, he could still get bailed out by Lumberjack having an item that we need, but it's really rough when you do Aggen him in a seed where you do not have to do him.
Yep, and even if Lumberjack does wind up being an item, and both runners have to do this, Goomba will be able to do it with boots before that becomes an issue. So it's gonna be a time loss either way.
Absolutely. It's a difference between like a 30-second time loss from having the boots and some better equipment versus like a 3-minute time loss from this.
Night Ray Jack in chat asking, where are boots? Well, we don't know, but we do know that the boots are required to get the Lumberjack item.
We'll get our first look at the back of the Palace of Darkness over on Goomba's side. Gonna do a hammer jump here. Nice, able to set it up there with a few pause buffers. Pod hasn't turned up with really anything so far.
Yep, so we got a couple more spots to check, but it's looking like Village of Outcasts area might be where our progression is hiding at this point.
Yep, and we saw our first green 20 of the game, which could either be a armor upgrade or a bow upgrade in this case. Alright, so the very last item we get in Pod is the Cane of Samari. We will need that. Very nice to have. Will be needed for Turtle Rock, and will make Ice Palace a lot faster. And chat wondering if saiontea forgot. I do not think he forgot about Agina. I think he knows that he's up against a very good competitor, like all the racers in this tournament, and you just gotta make some plays to try to gain some time. And it is gonna be a bit unfortunate for him that it's not gonna pay off for him, but you do have to sometimes take some risks, and you can't just check every location. It is a bit risky since that last item is the Moon Pearl. It would probably be a little bit more common if, say, he was missing a glove or the hammer, but it's definitely not unprecedented.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble considering that from his perspective it's a coin flip whether that Moon Pearl or an item leading to it is in Agina versus on Pyramid, which is all that this gives him access to at this point. So you're looking at saving, what, 20 seconds to walk across the desert, if that, versus the entire time that it takes to do all of Aga. It's rough.
We didn't do our blue ball guessing game, and unfortunately. I have not been counting, but I believe this is our third cycle already, so we're getting a lot.
And taking a look at the trackers here, thinking, what do we need for Go mode at this point? We're going to need that Fire Rod, we're going to need those Flippers, we're going to need that Hook Shot, and Titan's Mitts. That's 4. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, I think that's good. We just also might need the Quake Medallion, but that's a question mark depending on Turtle Rock entry.
Yep, and of course there's always that 1 in 22 chance that the boots will be required for the GT Big Key.
Yeah, I could also have something like, I don't know, Fire Rod on the pedestal with boots entry required from Isrimire. Well, there's always plenty of ways that the seed can come back to get to bite you. saiontea even electing the old man was put into logic when he got that lamp in Eastern, so didn't do it earlier. We're gonna get the bad news in the next few seconds.
And saiontea, finally out of options, he's gonna go collect that last location Moon Pearl. Any last location tends to feel bad, but it's extra bad when that last location includes an entire dungeon that was just a whole big nothing burger.
Yeah, so saiontea, he will probably figure that he's going to be behind for this race, because the only way he really wouldn't be is if his opponents did the exact same thing. So we'll probably see him take a little bit more risks in routing than he normally would, especially given that this is a elimination game for him.
Goomba getting that quick kill off of the Armos, and let's see where he opts to travel next.
saiontea's going to go over to Palace of Darkness. But yeah, it will be interesting to see where Goomba elects to go. I think the Village of Outcasts is a pretty clear play because it's just the most dense location that he hasn't been to yet. You can just flute on over there and maybe check the front of Skullwoods even while you're over there.
Yep, and of course you've got Thieves Town right there. You've got the hammer. You don't have to worry about orphaning an item. Anytime your options include a fully clearable crystal dungeon, that's sort of the standard by which you've got to judge your decision-making against.
For sure. And there's just a lot of items over here, too. We've also got the whole Village of Outcast area, and then they can even go to the North Dark World and do Graveyard Ledge, plus Bumper Ledge, and even maybe Lumberjack, too.
That pig guard giving Goomba just a little bit of trouble here. There we go.
Yeah, the random bush guard, he can be quite annoying. These bushes are very annoying to deal with. It often will influence some runners like myself to just go to Skullwoods first so you don't have to bother cutting them down.
Yeah, in this case, as annoying as that guard was, I definitely agree with Goomba's decision-making. Ooh, and there's a Master Sword and chess game.
Yeah, I'll make going through the dungeons a little bit easier. Also, we're going to need at least 2 to beat this game, so definitely needed to get that at some point.
Yep, I did neglect that when I was listing out Go Mode items early on, because of course, you know you need it, you also know you might find it in GT. It doesn't tend to be worth worrying about barely half an hour into your run.
Yeah, we have seen some runners where they end up doing Fighter Sword Ganon's Tower and then still come up empty, and then you have Ganon just waiting there and you have to go check Purple Chest or something to get a sword, so it can be always interesting when that happens. Good to see our first look at Thieves Town over here. First item was the small key, and second is that heart container, so we've still got 3 more somewhere in this dungeon. There's 20 rupees for our second item of Thieves Town. And we knew that had to be the big key.
Yep, so 2 more items hiding in the back here. And unless those 2 items give Goomba something that would alter his decision-making, likely to see a trip up to Skullwoods after this.
Yeah, you got the front of Skullwoods. You even can go out of Skullwoods and do some of the North Dark World checks. He's already done the South ones, like Digging Game and Stumpy, so that would be the next most dense location.
Yep, you could whip out your mirror and go ahead and check that Lumberjack if you feel like it. You could grab Graveyard Ledge, you could Kern jump over and grab Catfish and mirror out from there and talk to Zora. A lot of options in that direction.
Absolutely. Having that bow, you can even get the waterfall items with your bow and your Moon Pearl. We've got the map here, so we've still got 2 more items down in either the basement or on blind in Thieves Town.
And chat's speculating saiontea has to know he's behind. What are some gambles that he could be thinking of that might be able to even things up?
I think the best choice for him is to just go over to Skullwoods and first check Lumberjack to make sure, hey, maybe it's not, you don't need a big gamble. Maybe you're only 30 seconds behind instead of 2 or 3 minutes. But after that, yeah, then you definitely got to start looking for some gambles.
Yeah, that would be a fair play. if he were so inclined, he could take that red cane that he just found, flute over to Ice Palace, fake flip his way in, and hope that that's turns out to be one of those sequence breaks that pays off.
Yeah, we still need to wait for our Titans myth before we can, because once you get the myths, you could also make the gamble into Misery Mire, which is another decent option for a gamble. We see another green 20 there for Goomba. I didn't check. Did you see what was in Blind's cell?
I did not. And yeah, of course you're correct. The myths are required for that Ice Palace play, so that's why we have more than one brain thinking about these things.
And our tracker pointing out that there was the compass in Blind's cell, so we will get an item from Blind today. But Thieves Town really came up empty so far, so if Blind doesn't give us anything, probably just going to see the front of Skullwood's North Dark World, because there's just nothing else. Goomba showing off this Blind fight. If you do the same thing against Blind, he will always do the same thing as well. So Goomba able to deal with that fight pretty easily. I'm just getting 50 rupees for beating this, but the crystal, you definitely need that. That's important. We'll see where Goomba decides to go next. Santi doing his Helmasaur fight, also just gonna smack away at the masks, trying to get as fast as hits to try to despawn the fireballs there, but unfortunately was a few short. And Goomba's going to the North Dark World here. Down goes Helmasaur King on Saiontea's side, so he'll get to collect his second crystal, and then probably going to follow over to this Village Valcast area. We'll see if he diverges and goes north first to check the Lumberjack.
Yeah, that's kind of his biggest, best hope at this point, although having that knowledge right now really wouldn't change much, since he still needs the boots to access it, so I also wouldn't be surprised to see him just follow in Goomba's footsteps, knock out Thieves Town first, and then make his way up in that direction.
Absolutely, and even if so there isn't even any other, like, real gambles he can take, so you kind of just want to stay on schedule, like, you know you're about 3 minutes behind, but you want to take smart gambles. You don't want to just kind of do what isn't optimal just for the sake of it. He doesn't really have that many great options to gamble with his item set right now. I don't believe we got the one item in the big chest of Skullwoods, but we haven't gotten anything nice yet.
And it looks like Saiontea is going to opt to go into Skullwoods first.
Yeah, a lot of runners will do this anyway, especially because sometimes when you don't have the Fire Rod, you'll want to go up here because Fire Rod being in Skullwoods can be such a huge play if you will do it and your opponent doesn't. And it's not that big of a time loss just to do the front of Skullwoods unless you got, say, both of the items in back or your opponent gets to just go mode it.
Yeah, in a world where neither dungeon gives you anything in the way of progression, you spend a little bit of time. So at that point, you're gambling on finding something like boots up here that would make Thieves Town faster versus finding, say, Fire Rod in Thieves Town and being able to knock out Skullwoods all in one go.
Absolutely. We'll get our first look at these north. There's our Titan's Mitts up on Bumper Ledge. So that cave did end up being required, but not for Aghanim unless we see that Lumberjack. And even then, we were able to get a Master Sword before we needed to beat Aghanim.
So with that Titans in play, that opens up an out-of-logic Ice Palace. There's always Smith Chain. You can get into Turtle Rock. Can't, it's a big question mark what all you can do in there with no Fire Rod.
Yep, we get Dark Death Mountain, though can't do Hookshot Cave without you can't even do any of it without the boots, and can't full clear without the hookshot. There's the book up there on Agnim, so maybe that's required. It would be a bit of a long shot because we know we can get into Desert Palace, which is dependent anyway, without it. But maybe we've got hookshot on a tablet. Could come into play. So Saiontea will at least be able to grab that when he gets his boots.
Yeah, and if that winds up being the answer, that's huge for him. Not only there being progression on there, but hidden progression to boot. That is a pretty easy last location for his opposition, as opposed to...
Sorry, but what I think is if Saiontea gets his boots and sees that book, he's going to go up there and get that as soon as possible because he knows his opponent will not be checking the tablets anytime soon. So that would be, like you're saying, a very easy last location for his opponent and could be a huge time gain. So very nice, nice little piece of hope there for Saiontea.
And in answer to chat, we have yet to see the inside of Desert Palace, although it is available now thanks to those Titan's mitts.
And looks like Goomba is gonna fake Flipper. We'll see where he decides to go here, because he's also in the Zora area, but he also has the ability to do Ice Palace. Yeah, looks like he's going to elect to sequence break Ice Palace. And this is the play, when you can Icebreaker, I really like this play because if you get the right item layout, a full clear of Ice Palace with the Cane of Samaria can actually be pretty quick compared to the old days where a full clear of Ice Palace was a nightmare.
Absolutely. It's 3 item checks that you don't really have to go out of your way for compared to go-moding the dungeon. It's a crystal that you're gonna need sooner or later, and the only thing you know for sure you're not gonna find in here is flippers. Still lots of potential value.
Yeah, because like the main thing you lose is that maybe you get to go mode this later. However, if the Fire Rod is in here, that would be really big because then you can go up to the Dark Death Mountain and you have a good chance of being able to full clear Turtle Rock as long as it's not Quake Medallion locked, and it can really come up big for you. Whereas if nothing comes up here, depending on as long as the item's not in Ice Tea Room, you'll lose a little bit of time. If you have to go over to Ice Tea Room versus Go Mode, then there's a bit more significant of a time loss. But it's a nice little, not too high of a risk, decent reward play.
Just a big 20 there in the vanilla big key chest.
And something interesting is Saiontea did not elect to check Lumberjack for that book, so he doesn't know about it yet. We've also already seen 2 items here in Ice Palace, so you definitely feel good if you always like it when you do Icebreaker and get the items in these first 3 chests. And I don't believe that Goomba hit the switch, so he should be able to check the Ice Tea Room should he need to pretty easily compared to if he had hit the switch.
I believe that's correct.
And looks like there's a 50-50 chance that the Ice Tea Room has our last item. Saiontea's gonna follow through what Goomba did a little bit ago and finish up Thieves Town here. We know that there's nothing in here, though.
And that was just a heart container there in Ice Tea Room.
Yeah, so Goomba knows didn't really gain anything by sequence breaking this Ice Palace, but it's not too bad of a time loss. The other thing that you get from here is that should the red crystals come into play, you can just do those immediately after Swamp, which may be a little bit quicker than if you had to go back there from Ice Palace. And Goomba's going to drop into his Cold Stare fight. Getting that Master Sword earlier really make this fight nicer because you always like to get a little bit of extra damage for that initial spin, and not having the Fire Rod, you're going to either want to use the hammer or the Master Sword swings when you're got him in the corner. This going good so far. Really nice to get all those hammer hits early. It's not that easy to hit these Cold Stare puffs with the hammer. You have to be careful though, because he can only take one more hit from the puffs. But able to close it out. Very nice fight there.
Absolutely. Those that hammer hitbox is is the bane of this and many other fights. Very well done.
The key there means that this was the Cane of Samaria locked, though we've had the Cane of Samaria for a little while, so not really that useful information for the runners. All right, looks like Goomba's gonna set up a splash deletion here to try to get over to Zora area and maybe do Hobo as well. We'll get to get our first look at the Waterfall Cave chest. We know all these other ones. Hobo has the red boomerang, and then the other checks, like Zora, they're nothing of note.
Yep, we did see most of this stuff over on saiontea's side before, but but it looks like Goomba's gonna opt to save and quit out of there, which I sort of don't blame him, leaving himself, he knows it's out of logic anyway, and he leaves himself the option of routing those in with Catfish.
Yeah, maybe just thinking like, looking at where you're at, okay, the Waterfall Cave can't have the flippers. We just need the flippers, the Fire Rod, and the hook shot, plus maybe a Turtle Rock Medallion or some of the Fetch Quest items. So we've got a lot of locations left and not as many items we need.
And that was an ether to get into Mire, so that is another accessible pendant dungeon.
Yeah, we'll see if saiontea decides to dip in there or not. Goomba probably won't want to because it's just 2 items and still got some other good locations like Dark Death Mountain to check.
Yep, it looks like he is going to go ahead and poke his head into Desert at the moment, and as pendant dungeons go, this is definitely a lot, at least potentially a lot quicker to get your value versus Mire.
Looks like saiontea's going to the south Dark World. We'll see if he decides to do the Smiths, and if so, how much of that Smith chain he decides to do.
Yeah, he knows he needs to make some gambles to catch back up here, and an early Smith chain play is something that you could definitely see your opposition putting off for quite a long time.
And he hasn't done any of the South Dark World yet either, like Stumpy or K45 yet, so he'll get to check those on the way as well. And we'll see if there's 2 items over here on the right-hand side of Desert, or if Landmolus has an item.
And if you're just tuning in, the big difference maker in this particular race is that Goomba went ahead and found that Moon Pearl in Agina, whereas saiontea unfortunately made the long trip through Hyrule Castle to Aga 1, only to be rewarded with a big nothing burger for his troubles. So very much Goomba's race at the moment, but it could still turn around.
Yeah, we always have that book up there on Lumberjack that saiontea does not yet know about, but Goomba does. And if there's something on the tablet like the hookshot or the fire rod, then saiontea is not going to be losing that much time for having done Aghanim.
Johnny Boy in chat correctly pointing out that Meyer is actually not accessible at the moment. Well, you can get in, you just can't do much without hookshot or boots.
Yeah, you can say hi to those yellow blobs, but can't cross the gap. We also see 10 arrows on the Smith himself, so nothing doing there. Also, hammer pegs wasn't anything useful either. Goomba going to show us beating the land moles with the ice rod. It does the same damage as the fire rod, which is the same damage as the tempered sword. So you just need 2 hits here to knock out the land moles with the ice rod.
Yep, unfortunately, if you're used to doing it with fire rod, that muscle memory will get you, because those projectiles are just a bit slower.
Yeah, the ice rod, the ice thing, it kind of lingers a little bit right after you let it go, so it's definitely more difficult to time. But he's still able to beat it. Gets the pendant from Desert. And the one thing about that book being on Lumberjack is that the pedestal check, probably will not see a ped check. You'd probably just see a blind pull, honestly, first. Goomba's going to show us Checkerboard Cave, and saiontea's going to go do the purple chest, and we'll see where he goes, where these runners both go from here. So chat asking kind of what's left. Okay, we have not seen Catfish yet. Goomba has not seen Pyramid Ledge. We also have Graveyard Ledge, and then Dark Death Mountain, and Spike Cave.
I believe saiontea got Graveyard Ledge a little earlier.
Yeah, he did. He also got Pyramid Ledge. And we just got a bottle from the purple chest, so now saiontea can check Sick Kid. It's been a little late for our first bottle, but who knows? Maybe that'll be something. Looks like Goomba's gonna go do that Smith's Chain as well.
Yeah, Goomba's starting to run out of better things to do, so...
Interesting, saiontea had not yet done Hype Cave, so gets to combo that in around here. So definitely doing the Smith Chain that early. It was efficient routing, but unfortunately a lot of nothing. The bottle was honestly the best pull from the whole South Dark World and Hype Cave today.
Looks like,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure we were saying the same thing. saiontea, following in Goomba's footsteps, going to go ahead and do these mire checks and probably go out and clear Desert while he's here, because he's running out of anything better to do with his time.
Yeah, especially when you're probably feeling behind like saiontea is. Unfortunately, we know that skipping Desert would be a really nice play because it's empty, but it would be also a really hard play to do.
Yep, and as our two runners cover each other's tracks a little bit, seems like a good time to remind everybody to go ahead and give them a follow. They really are putting on a great show for us here today.
Yeah, and if you were to tune into the runners when they're streaming on their own time, like they'll be doing ladder races, they'll be more accessible, can respond to comments. So definitely worth giving all these great runners a follow.
Goomba grabbing that bottle, opening up his Sick Kid check, one of very few checks that are still available and in logic here. It looks like he's going to avail himself of it on the first opportunity here.
Yeah, I think so. The one thing that Goomba can do that's been good about Goomba kind of clearing out basically everything down here is that we're pretty possibly have the potential of the no fire on Turtle Rock play. And if you've already done most of the rest of the checks in the game, you'll kind of know, okay, I really have to do this.
Yeah, depending on key layout, that would be where the check density is at this point. The only other option, in fact, what else is there besides catfish?
Yeah, but we haven't seen, for us, it's catfish only at this point. And the Dark Death Mountain is deceptively, it's normally a pretty nice location to check, but we just can only get the Super Bunny Cave and then whatever Turtle Rock allows us to get. And Spike Cave.
Oh yeah, very true. We have yet to see that Spike Cave check. Much more doable now with 12 hearts.
Yeah, and that first bottle actually, I think, technically put it into logic. Chat asking why it's called Super Bunny Cave. So there's a glitch called Super Bunny where you can open chests and pick up blocks as an item, as a bunny, and you can activate that by falling through a pit. And because of the layout in that cave, it's really easy to fall down a pit and get to those chests. So you can basically go over there without a moon pearl and get those chests.
Yep, it is, of course, a glitch, so it is out of logic. You'll never be required to do it, and it's pretty rare that it winds up being much of a difference maker, but if you find yourself up there with no moon pearl, but you do have Titan's mitts, why not?
Yeah, sometimes if you have the Titan's mitts and the mirror and no moon pearl, then you can route it in with like Paradox Cave and kind of punctuate your Death Mountain trip with getting Super Bunny Cave and checking the Turtle Rock Medallion. But it's just so situational that it doesn't come up very often.
All right, let's see what everybody's second favorite scamfish has for us today. In exchange for a rock, you get the hook shot.
Definitely not a scam today. So that gives us both Misery Mire and the 4 checks in Hookshot Cave. Goomba nicely able to set up that splash deletion there, and we'll get to show us our first time these waterfall cave islands. Also, getting to route in catfish with the Zora check is pretty nice. And we see a tempered sword in there, and the fire rod, so that is a huge play. As if not having the moon pearl early was not punishment enough for saiontea. Also got to skip the tempered sword and the fire rod. And the fire rod's one of our last go mode items. We're honestly just the flippers and maybe Quake Medallion at this point.
Yep, so we know those flippers can't be any place that's fire rod locked, but that doesn't cross much off the list at this point. Probably won't affect Goomba's routing too terribly much. Well,
the one thing that it does cross off nicely is Turtle Rock if the key layout is me. So if we get locked out of Turtle Rock, we know since we just need the flippers, and if it's not, the only thing we would need for Turtle Rock entry would be Quake. So if Turtle Rock's not Quake, our go mode is flippers. So you'll know, okay, the only chest that could have our flippers is the first chest of Turtle Rock. We don't have to worry about anything deeper.
Yep, of course, Turtle Rock being one of those dungeons where there's not much difference between go moding it and not. The big thing that you can do with that knowledge is skip lava chest, which is a nice little time save, but nothing huge.
Sandy picking up a blue potion, so probably going to Ice Palace. Yeah, doing a sequence break here, trying to make a play to make up some time. And we'll get to see Super Bunny Cave over here on Goomba's side. Let's see if we find our go mode in here, maybe. Nope, not today. We'll see if the rest of our progression is locked behind that hook shot. Perhaps the flippers in here would kind of round out, because then your fire rod would be in logic.
But 'twas not to be this day.
Yeah, so Goomba doesn't really have that many locations left. I think we got both the items out of Skullwood, so that fire rod opening up the back's not gonna help us. We will be able to get into Turtle Rock, and then Spike Cave is still out there. So that Bombos medallion we got in the first chest of escape coming up for us. We do need that. We needed that for Ice Palace, though not logically, because we know where the fire rod is flipper locked, and so is Ice Palace, but we used it, and we also get to use it here. Chad also pointing out that Misery Mire is available, which honestly at this point Goomba's that's gotta be on his mind after Spike Cave, and this first chest will really dictate how far to go in here, assuming Goomba is keeping track of fire rod being hookshot locked. Though maybe gonna check the right side first anyway. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You can just beat this dungeon. I forget fitting that we have all the stuff we need to full clear it anyway. So what is full clear it now?
Yeah, you know the flippers won't be back here. You might find, I suppose the only real convenience item left would be maybe half magic. Another bottle or two would be nice, but hardly necessary.
We'll see if the flippers can be back here. If there's a key here, and there is, then the flippers could still be in the back of Turtle Rock. But really depends on this key layout. You need to get another key in the next chest, and then a big key in the chest after that. All right, so now Turtle Rock is officially fire rod locked. That chest needed to be a key, and then the big key needed to be in this next chest. So we know that this chest here has to be the big key for Goomba. Or no, sorry, he got the big key already. So this could be anything, but not the flippers.
Yep. So Goomba is going to go ahead and steal the key here. He knows that that there can't be any kind of progression hiding in that lava chest, so save himself a couple of screen transitions here.
Yep, 96% of the time, this is perfectly okay. There is the 4% chance that you, if you skip the big chest at least. So you can skip the big chest here, which Goomba will probably do. And then 96% of the time, you're fine, and you get a key in Laser Bridge. But if you don't, then you have to come back and you feel that bad. But it's only 4% of the time. So. And Chad kind of pointing out that lava chest could be key for key as well. I'm not entirely certain of that logic, but that sounds right.
saiontea having a bit of trouble with his cold stare fight here. He's let these puffs get away from him quite a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, Goomba did a really nice job, made it look easy, but this fight, not easy with this loadout. You really like to have the fire rod for this fight when you don't have the tempered sword, because you can hit them in the corner and then just eliminate two of them really quick with the fire rod shots. But looks like he's still got a lot of health, so just a matter of be patient, don't get in over your head, and don't die here. We'll see what Laser Bridge has for him. We did not get the 4% locked out of Turtle Rock, so that's good. And see how much of this Goomba decides to check.
Had nothing of value on that laser bridge other than that final key necessary to go in and pay Trinex a visit.
Looks like saiontea is gonna follow over. Probably, it looks like he's gonna do Spike Cave first, but then may go over to Turtle Rock afterwards. And Goomba showing us our Trinex fight. Really nice to have the Tempered Sword here. You can beat the heads much quicker that way.
Yes, indeed. And yep, sure enough, saiontea heading into Spike Cave. One of a couple of locations that might be hiding our Go Mode flippers at this point. Probably not going to help him much, even if it is here, considering that that's got to be on Goomba's mind coming out of the Trinex fight as well.
Yeah, I think saiontea is really down to just the book being his hope, because even if it's Pendant Mire, Goomba's going to be going over there relatively soon.
Yep, and of course, for that Lumberjack book to come into play, he's going to need to find the boots somewhere.
Yeah, so it's looking like Misery Mire is going to be our answer. Could have something like the boots to give us a few more checks. It could just give us the pedestal, and then we could have something on the pedestal. Which we'd probably, if Mire were empty, I would probably expect Goomba to go full clear Skullwoods and pull the pedestal on his way out.
Yep. That, either that or finding boots for that Lumberjack book are kind of his only hope at this point.
Yeah, so I think after this Spike Cave, I think Goomba really has to go to Misery Mire. There's just no really other good locations, and he has to beat Skullwood at some point. So if you're going to ever think about pulling the pedestal to seed, you know the book is on the Lumberjack ledge, so you're not going to get to check it. May as well just blind pull it when you beat Skullwoods if you don't find your flippers at any point. saiontea unfortunately skipping that the waterfall cave there. He could have gotten his fire rod.
Oof, yeah, that's a real insult to injury situation there.
Yeah, I don't know if he's done a hard reset since he beat the Armos Knights. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to set up your splash deletion there. You have to do some dropping of bombs into the water, and it's not always that consistent. So perhaps that's weighing on his mind. So we're going to have both these runners going into Mire at about the same time.
Yep, saiontea making the beeline for it. Skipping some stuff like Turtle Rock that would be a no-brainer. Well, no, I forget that he doesn't have his fire rod yet.
Yeah, we know this. Fire rod, you can't even get to Laser Bridge. You can only get to the Chain Chomp room. So if the boots are here in Misery Mire, I think that's really saiontea's best hope, because he'll go over, do his boots checks, check the Lumberjack ledge, get the book, and then be able to do the tablets. But there's the flippers for Goomba, so Goomba is now in Go mode, just going to get right out of here and clear the rest of his dungeons.
Yep, barring something disastrous happening to Goomba, that is very nearly GG. I mean, there's still that 1 in 22 chance that the boots could be required if that winds up being someplace lousy like on Vitreous on Pedestal. We could still have a race, but that's about what it would take at this point.
Yeah, because at this point, it's very likely that the boots are just going to be in Ganon's Tower somewhere, because there's like 26 locations or whatever it could be up there, versus just these like 5 or 6 in the overworld.
Yep, there's 6 checks here in Swamp Palace. Goomba could get it in the next few minutes here, for all we know.
So getting to go mode Swamp will be really nice. Now, even with Diver Down making the left side nice, you really like when you can just skip the left side without worrying about it.
Yeah, that left side is not nearly as painful as it used to be, but still nice to be able to skip it when you can.
And Chad is pointing out that with the only thing left to not be go mode being boots for 1 in 22 torch, that effectively kills the book, because you need the boots to get the book, so we couldn't have something like the book blocking the boots on a tablet.
Yep, of course, we know that. That could wind up being a wild goose chase for saiontea. But then I believe he still has yet to check Lumberjack, so...
Yeah, figuring is it makes a lot of sense, because you can just check Lumberjack with your Bon Crocs and King's Tomb, so you can't get it till you have the boots anyway.
Yep, and that was the Fire Shield being the second item there in Mire. saiontea's gonna go ahead and kill Vitreous anyway, because that pedestal is one of the few hopes that he has left.
Yeah, he still doesn't have the Fire Rod yet, so he's not in the same situation Goomba was, where Goomba could just nope out because he was in go mode once he got those slippers. Chad asking about the Fire Rod. It was in the Waterfall Cave, and unfortunately saiontea did not have the Moon Pearl when he fake flippered over, so he was not able to check it, whereas Goomba was able to set up Splash Deletion with the Moon Pearl when he did Catfish to get it.
Goomba taking just an extra second or two to go ahead and check that waterfall chest in Swamp Palace, is rewarded with a bottle full of blue goo for his troubles.
Goomba going to show us a nice Tempered Sword. Argus fight, very nice to have the Tempered Sword here, because then you can just knock out these pups with one slash like Goomba's doing.
Yep, makes that first phase pretty trivial. That quick kill on the last phase, not quite as trivial, but Goomba does make it look easy for us.
Yeah, and saiontea showing off a strategy where if you have the cape and you just keep slashing at those eyeballs, the game will get a bit overloaded and not be able to drain your magic for using the cape, so it can be really nice if you have the Master Sword against those eyeballs.
Yep, it's not the fastest way to deal with that fight, but in a mode where you're locked to green mail at all times, safety can beat speed.
And we'll see Goomba go in to finish his last dungeon. Skull Woods back here. saiontea, we'll see what he decides to do, if he wants to do the orphaned waterfall cave or just do a blind pull right here. Looks like Swamp Palace is actually the answer. Yeah, this seed is one where being able to get that waterfall cave out of logic is so big because when you get your flippers, you're going to be really tempted to go in the Swamp Palace. There's 6 items there versus just the 2 in Waterfall Cave. And then you lose all that time from having to check the left side of Swamp.
Yep. You're also doing that Argus fight with Master Sword, which is not a big time loss, but compared to doing it with Tempered, it's just that little bit more awkward.
Goomba going to go into the Mothula fight. This is another fight where you really appreciate having the Tempered Sword because Moth only takes 4 hits with a Tempered Sword and much easier than trying to get 8 Fire Rod shots or Master Sword hits.
Yep, one of the more RNG-dependent fights, depending on where those spikes opt to go, but RNGesus was kind to Goomba today, and he takes the Moth down in short order. That's his 7th crystal.
Yep, so we're going to have the game we always have, where there's 22 locations in Ganon's Tower where the big key can be. So put your number in chat between 1 and 22 where you think the big key will be, and win imaginary internet points, but only in your heart because the bot is not running, still on a bit of a vacation.
And personally, I always bet 2 anyway. I'm extra betting 2 today, because Goomba has enough of a lead here. Let's not prolong the pain. Unless it winds up being on that torch, in which case, let's go. Let's get crazy.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's a little bit more 1s and 3s than there are usually. Whenever you have this no boots seed, chat loves to see the big key on the torch. So saiontea got to show us that there was a bottle in Swamp. Not really helpful, but at least you get a trackable item out of it. All right, so Goomba's going to go into GT. We'll see where that big key is for the guessing game today. And our second bottle of blue potion in Swamp Palace.
Yep, Goomba took the time to find that during his run through, so he's got that little bit of extra safety in his back pocket.
All right, chest number 1, we've got 10 arrows. Chest number 2, we've got magic powder. That'll be a little nice if you get into a pickle on the climb.
All right, moment of truth. We're about to collapse the wave function. Boots not required today.
Yeah, you could look a lot cooler beating Aghanim 2 with your bug net, but definitely not required. So we'll get into chest 4, 5, 6, and 7 over here. Number 4 is our mushrooms, so we've already gotten 2 fetch quests, and number 5 is our big key. Goomba is going to check these last few, maybe hopefully get an extra key, so he doesn't have to beat the Helmasaur in the upstairs room, and he's rewarded with one. So it's all execution from here for Goomba. Pretty much as loaded out as you could get. Perhaps could get half magic or something, but not going to worry about checking any chests to get that. Goomba able to handle those mimics pretty nicely, so we'll go into the rest of the gauntlet. And saiontea is going to go back into Swamp Palace, still not having his fire rod. It's kind of unfortunate. Going to have to do some extra checks. And it really is, it's a bit annoying to not have the boots for this gauntlet, but at least Goomba has the tempered sword.
Yep. Well, if saiontea decides to go ahead and play the seed out, he will have the boots, finding them as he did in the swamp big chest.
Yeah, that's a really rude spot for the boots, given where the flippers were the seed. You couldn't even you couldn't get those boots any earlier than saiontea really did. Goomba going into his Land Mode 2 fight, this time with the Fire Rod, which is a bit easier to time the hits when the Ice Rod was earlier. Unable to get the 2-cycle, the Fire Shooter being a little bit annoying, but able to get through there without too much trouble. Goomba gonna use that blue potion he has. Needed a bit of a magic refill anyway for the torch room upcoming to do it quicker, and was running a bit low on health. So if you don't use it, then it's not really worth getting it. So might as well use it.
Yeah, what are you talking about? I'm that guy who finishes every Final Fantasy game with 99 mega elixirs. They're too valuable to use.
Yeah, Goomba not gonna worry about checking any of these chests. No help for him. Just gonna go on, beat Moldorm 2, and get over to Aghanim.
Yep, had just enough magic there to go ahead and get himself a nice little refill.
Yeah, otherwise...
check to... Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna mention you could fake powder there as well, had you be out of magic, but nice to get that powder to get that extra health. And this is another room where you really miss having no boots, because it's really annoying to get through sometimes, but Goomba gets through it pretty nicely.
And saiontea finding the half magic, as well as the 4th sword. We had 2 swords in 2 different two different fairy caves, I should say.
Yep, so no mystery about which one of those green 20s was the sword today. Goomba getting I believe he got a double and a single there on Aghanim, so still need 3 more hits. And down goes Aghanim, so Goomba's going to be on to his Ganon fight. Having the Tempered Sword is going to be about as good as you can get of a fight for this mode. saiontea going through and showing us where all the other trackable items are in this game, having found the Quake Medallion and the Half Magic, but unfortunately, just adding insult to injury, not getting his Fire Rod yet.
Yep, unfortunately, those boots, rather than saving him any time, are just leading him down yet another rabbit hole, as Goomba drops in for his pig fight.
And he gets the Trident spin, so should be able to get this nice 1-cycle phase 1.
And getting a little too close to comfort with those bats there. Needs to be a little careful here.
Yeah, luckily was able to still get the 1-cycle, just needs to be careful with his last bit. So you gotta imagine saiontea's gonna want to turn in that, check those book things, but Goomba's gonna go into his final phase of Ganon really quickly.
Yep, now Goomba needs to be a little careful here, because if he's one hit from death, and if he does take a death here, he would only be, like, 6 or 8 deaths away from losing this race.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, though, you never know where your opponent is. So in Goomba's mind, he could be, his opponent could be getting ready to be done with the seed. So you still gotta, you never get a free Ganon fight.
Yeah, it's very true. It's easy for us to sit in here in the commentation booth and joke about how much time Goomba actually has, but could have, he definitely wound up clearing some dungeons he didn't need to, spending some time on checks that didn't wind up being required. For all he knows, this could be neck and neck.
Yeah, and should just need, yeah, that was the last hit there, so Goomba has defeated Ganon, just needs to cross this bridge, and he will be our victor today, and we'll be moving on to round 2. So get your GGs in chat here for Goomba. Really nice run. This was a kind of a rude seed, so pretty good time, all things considered.
Absolutely. Goomba does finish with an official race time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, 20 seconds, and that is his second win, so that will put him into the next stage of the tournament. Well, saiontea, entering his forfeit, is going to go home after this.
Yeah, it's always the nature of these tournaments is that you're going to have to send some really good runners home along the way, and it happens to the best of us. So we'll see if these runners want to join us for an interview. And with Goomba advancing, he will be playing the winner of Waterloo versus Dainty, which will be starting over. Game 2 of that series will be starting in about 20 minutes or so. So definitely want to tune into that one.
Absolutely, two very accomplished runners. That's the other thing about getting this far in the tournament. You win and it feels real good, and then you look at who you're facing next, and there's just no breaks.
Absolutely.
And I do see Goomba getting set up there in the proverbial green room. He can hop up and join us for an interview when ready. And there he is. Congratulations, Goomba.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Any first thoughts on that seed?
I'm just kind of disappointed. To be honest, I was ready for that book to be required.
Yeah, that was a big tease when you showed that to us on the Lumberjack Ledge.
Like, when I went to buy her, I was ready for the boots. I was ready, but no.
Yeah, and your opponent, unfortunately, had already done Agus, so it would have made the race a lot more interesting had that book been required.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, just the nature of these gambles. So you'll be moving on to round 2. Congratulations. Do you have any experience going against Dainty or Waterloo, who could be your opponent for the next match?
I have raced Waterloo a couple times on ladder, and I'm actually not sure I've ever raced against Dainty, so I don't know.
All right, well, definitely that will be exciting. Trying to think. This seed kind of forced you to into your route, because like you had a lot of times where you just were not down. You had down to not very many locations left.
Yeah, it was he definitely had a couple bottlenecks, but I didn't really feel too bad about any of them because I felt like my route had worked out really efficiently, especially my early game route, letting me. It's funny, I usually don't do CAC early, but the one time I decide to do CAC early, it has the flute, so that worked out nicely. And then getting to do Pod and Eastern in one trip was pretty nice as well. So I felt pretty good about my route in terms of just general efficiency.
Yeah, that's a great point, because even though the seed kind of forced you into taking a lot of checks, at least you were able to do those checks really efficiently, like going up to Tower of Hera, getting the green pendant, and being able to just clear out all of Pod, Eastern, Southside, green pendant, all in one go. Just some nice little routing efficiencies. All right. Any closing remarks before we head on out and watch some other matches that are going to be happening soon?
No, not really. It was relatively straightforward. Not really a whole lot to talk about, I don't think.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in for an interview. Definitely give Goomba and saiontea both some follows. They gave us a great show, and they'll be giving us even. Well, Goomba will be going on and showing us even more tournament matches, and even for saiontea, when he's streaming on his own time, you've got some ladder matches and practice, and it can be great to tune into those streams when they're just streaming outside the tournament as well. So definitely give them a follow. Also, shout outs to our tracker today. Demons Druid did a great job for us clicking those buttons, helping us. Makes the commentary a lot easier when your trackers are keeping track of all the items for you. And shout outs to my co-commentator, Ben Creighton, did a great job today making the seed interesting and adding some nice commentary.
Absolutely. Thanks to you both. It's been a lot of fun. And looking at the schedule for the rest of the evening, that race between Dante and Waterloo will be happening over at twitch.tv/ALTTPR Randomizer. Actually, ALTTP Randomizer, only one R in the middle there. A little later on, starting in about an hour and 20, we'll have Willard J. Bradley versus Jula Ninja. That'll be at ALTTP Randomizer 2. And rounding out the evening, Pika Pals versus CS Tutor 89 at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time over on SpeedGaming 5. So plenty more to go. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and you can even turn over to SpeedGaming 2. They have a match in progress about 40 minutes in between Shady Force and McLagan. So even while you're waiting for that next one to start up, there's still another one going on. So yeah, I think that's the last bit we've got for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.